Um, Hi, everybody. Thanks for showing up for this meeting today. I'm gonna let Pam go ahead and introduce herself, and then we'll go from there.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Pam Garlin, and I have been a small business consultant and coach for many, many years, but for 5 years here in the local Prescott area. I'm also one of the founders of Boost Small Business Accelerator. In fact, this webinar is being sponsored by WingSpace Co-working and Boost Small Business Accelerator. And I'll be back in a minute to tell you what we're going to be talking about. But Jay, how about you introduce yourself?
Well, hi, my name is Jay. Thank you, Pam. So I'm also a member of WingSpace. Happy to be on this forum and appreciate your invite. So who am I? I am a tax professional, accounting professional for many years. And so my participation in the forum will be to provide advice on the tax and business accounting side that might be affected through all this COVID-19 stuff.
Excellent. So that is going to be the focus for us today, is we're going to be talking about navigating through uncertainty. And there's so many things we want to talk about, but we're really going to try and limit it to looking at the financial arena and also some tips for decision making. We want this to be really practical. We want to give you some next steps. Let's see, we will be answering questions, and how you can do that is everyone should be muted. But you can, at the bottom of your screen, you can touch chat, and your question will come up, and we will try to answer those. There may be a little bit of a lag, but we'll do the best we can to answer those during this time. Also, I wanted to let you know, things are changing quickly. Some of what we're going to be talking about is the latest and greatest on loans from the Small Business Administration. But what we're saying today is good as of today. And also, something that Melanie reminded me to say is we aren't lawyers, never will be lawyers, never wanted to be a lawyer. Well, I can't speak for Jay. And so this is not legal advice. But please, we hope that you can take some practical things away to allow you to feel more certainty in these uncertain times. And that's just something, before we get started, I want to talk about. I've noticed myself, I'm a coach, so I should just be so grounded and have it all together. And I'll wake up one morning, it's like this pendulum, and I'm like, I'm anxious and I'm fearful, like, well, how about if I lose my clients and I'm paying for my coaching office and I can't consult on, one-on-one, and I'm gonna have to learn all these technical tools, and I sink at technical tools. And then I'll wake up the next morning, I'm like, this is amazing. So much creativity. I'm doing CrossFit with Captain CrossFit via Zoom. I'm coming up and doing a webinar for the first time in my life with Jay and Melanie. I'm learning how to use all these technical tools. So I kind of swing back and forth. I'm more on the positive side at this point, but I just want everyone to kind of give themselves a break, that if you find yourself swinging a little bit, it's natural. These are, there's no playbook for these times, but it's sure great if you can stay more on the left side of the pendulum. And one thing to do is to make sure that you're not watching all the news. I only watch Dr. Z from California. He's one of the most accurate. I don't watch anything else. But Melanie, you shared a story with us yesterday about how you got yourself on the left side of the pendulum. So I think this is a great time to talk about that.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I just feel kind of bipolar right now from moment to moment, where I feel panicky, one moment, and then hopeful and looking forward to some changes in the future. But the other day, my friend was texting me and asking me how I was doing, and I would respond, I feel overwhelmed. And then she would, offer me comfort, say a few nice things to me, and then she would ask me again, like, so how do you think things are going? And I'm like, I feel overwhelmed. That's all I could respond. And then she said something that snapped me out of it, was, you got to get your Rosie Riveter on. And I was like, dang, yes, I do. I need to get my Rosie Riveter on. I got to get out of this funk and get focused, because there's plenty of stuff that I can do. yeah, so that's kind of how I snapped out of it, and then I called in the troops. I sent messages to a number of people that I felt could help me get some direction, and we met here. We were under 10 people, but we did meet here at WingSpace, and gave me some great input and direction. So that's what we have to do right now, is we have to ask for help. Asking for help was not an easy thing to do, but I did.
Jay, how do you keep on one side of the pendulum? Are you just swinging day to day?
It's always good to know that you're on the pendulum. And it's swinging.
There you go. Well, let me
So
say,
what I tell myself is, well, first I'll answer your question, but I'd like to see Melanie's Rosie the Riveter pose first.
Right there.
So I think it's important to understand that this is new for all of us, and the extent of the minimal aspect of how this is all going to work out is really unknown yet. So we're all dealing with uncertainty, and I would imagine that there is all of us are dealing with a sense of stress from uncertainty inside of us, and that comes up from time to time throughout the day. And for me, how I handle that is I have to remind myself that, I am not how I feel. I am not my stress, and to be able to separate those two out from who I am. It's stressful from time to time, and focusing on the low-hanging fruits of what I can do is very important to me, and not getting caught up in catastrophizing, and definitely avoiding the news and looking for facts. So.
thanks, Jay. Let me say one other comment on helping, and then we're going to dive into this. There's something about our American culture. We're very independent, and asking for help can be seen as a weakness. And I really would encourage you to see asking for help as courageous. If you have, the first thing I've done with the little office that I have is I called the owner of the yoga room and said, can we call our landlord and see what kind of break that he can give us? And she said, well, that's a fabulous idea. And I've had some other people call credit card companies and said, can I wait for a month on a payment? So be courageous. Everyone is in the same boat right now. And some people will be very open to you asking for help. Think how you feel when people ask you for help. And some won't. Some will take advantage of this and buy toilet paper and sell it for $30 on the side of the road. But I'm seeing a lot more kindness than unkindness. So as we dive into this, and Melanie, I'm going to be asking you to tell another story. I was watching a video that I thought was very good, but the woman on the video talked about that this is unprecedented. And I agree with her in that, it's the first time that in my lifetime I've been asked, not to leave my home and some other things, but it's not unprecedented. I mean, the plague used to visit London annually. And well, Melanie, why don't you just tell the story that you told about that you've seen something like this before and how you and your business handled that.
Right. So obviously people who are tuned into this, I'm guessing are micro business owners, freelancers, independent contractors. That's who we were targeting for this. So I'm speaking from that place in that I've owned a number of businesses in my lifetime, and I stopped to think about times when things were really financially challenging for me. And I have been through that before and have lived through it. And one of those times that came to mind was back in 2001. I owned a fishing resort up in the Cascade Mountains of Oregon for 10 years. And we had a forest fire. We had 26 lightning strikes that came down around our resort, and it burned over 5,000 acres. Burned through our campground. We had to evacuate. They shut us down for 2.5 weeks. Now, mind you, this was a seasonal business that we made the majority of our income for the year in 9 weeks. And so being closed down for 2.5 weeks was like being shut down for 3 months out of an entire year for us. And it was devastating for us. We had to go back down the mountain with our entire crew. We had 11 employees, and all we could do was sit there and watch the fire burning up at the resort, wondering if it was burning down. But we stayed busy. There were things that we could do. We could work on the vehicles for the resort that we brought down. We kept in contact with our clients, our customers, I should say, through blog and newsletters. There was lots of stuff that we kept working on so that when they opened and gave us permission to go back up there again, we were ready to roll. We had a plan of how we were going to get back open quickly. And then they let us back up to the resort. And just a couple weeks later, September 11th happened. And we thought, well, there goes our fall season as well. And surprisingly enough, what the unknown, like we're living through unknown right now. And what happened that was a surprise to us was after forest fires, these rare mushrooms grow when the soil is reset. And we had this influx of people who got these permits to come in and harvest all of these mushrooms from the soil. And they filled our cabins, and we had the best fall season that we'd ever had. And it offset the losses that we had in August. So we don't know what's coming up. We don't know what good's going to be coming up after this, but I have to remember those kind of things that happened in the past. So, yeah.
And Melanie, what I think I hear you saying is, stay open to the unknown. Stay really wide alert to the opportunities that you wouldn't think of, is some of what I hear in that.
Yeah.
So let's get started on the financial side. And we may come in with some of these stories and thoughts along the way. Jay has given me permission to talk a little bit about the personal finances, because the personal finances lead into the professional finances. And so I want to tell you a story, and I want to make 3 specific points, which might be some next steps for you. And then Jay, who is the expert on this, can add whatever he'd like on the personal side. But I think we all need to step back and look at our personal finances. So I'm going to tell a story, but hopefully I get the 3 points across. So I was laid off. Couldn't believe it. I am a straight A student, magna cum laude graduate, high potential, and I got laid off. And my husband and the kids came to pick me up, and my little 3-year-old was carrying a box out of my office, and I'm just in tears. And on the way home, I'm like, okay, all right, we can sell the house, we can move into a condominium. If it gets really bad, the kids can go live with the grandparents in Corpus Christi. I mean, I was nuts. And I'm saying this all in my head. And I woke up the next morning and I said, all right, what I need is objective facts. So what I did is I told my husband I was going to sit down and say, okay, here's the best case scenario, medium case scenario, worst case scenario. Now we're both optimists, but he is like over the top optimist. He says, Pam, you're being negative. And I'm like, no, this helps me to be positive, to objectively look at the facts and look at where we are. And I will feel far more empowered once I have these scenarios put out. And I'm not going to start with the worst case. And he's like, all right. And then after I'd done those scenarios, I knew we needed to sit down and look at what we were going to do to impact our finances, cut our finances. Well, for any of you that are married or have a significant partner, I don't know about you, but one of you becomes the saver and one of you becomes the spender. And my husband is the spender and does not like his spending to be curtailed. So I could see this adding stress to talk about, if I said, well, I'm not going to give up my gel fills. I'm going to do that. And he's, absolutely you are. So I thought, how can we do this differently? And I remembered something I read. Because when we drove home from me being laid off, I was in survival mode. And the opposite of survive is thrive. So what we did is I asked my husband and myself, we made a thrive list. What is it when you, and I use what I call the 5 streams. When do you thrive? What are you doing when you thrive emotionally? When you thrive cognitively? When you thrive somatically, meaning your body? when you thrive in relationship, and when you thrive spiritually, whatever that means. And so we each made our list. And what was interesting is mine was, oh my gosh, meditation, playing board games with the kids, talking with my friends. None of it involved money, and none of it had anything to do with jail fills. And so then when we looked at cutting our expenses, we were using our Thrive list to guide us. And it was a very different kind of conversation than I think we could have had. And then the third thing that we did is we gave each other a little, what I called mad money. Back then it was only $50 a month, but you could spend $50 however you wanted, and neither one of us could say anything. So if I wanted to spend $50 to go get a massage, I could. And if he wanted to spend $50 to go buy ammo so he could go target shooting, go ahead. In fact, we've kept these same practices since then. We have kept a budget that we talk about. We're going to redo our Thrive list right now. And we continue, now our budget's a little bigger, but we have separate checking accounts, and either one of us can spend that money however we want, no questions asked. So personal finances lead to professional finances. Having a good relationship at home during this uncertainty is really important. So I would encourage you, if you haven't already, to look at the personal finances and then delve into professional business finances. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jay to add anything else, Jay, you want on personal, and then obviously about professional and business.
Thanks, Pam. I think the Thrive concept is really important right now because, like you mentioned, when you were laid off, and I went through a period where I've been laid off 4 times, and the immediate reaction is to lock down, shut down, hold up, cut expenses, and basically move toward the recluse side of the spectrum than the opportunistic side of the spectrum. But it's easy in those times of fear and uncertainty to get lost in the situation. So I think the Thrive list is really important, even for business, because the Thrive list is going to help you ascertain what your values are, and even more so what's providing you value in your life apart from the economic activities or income that we've relied upon.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, how about the business professional? Cash flow. What are their next steps? What should people be looking at?
How much time do we have?
And we're going to cap it at an hour.
Okay. All right. So on the business side, I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is these are really uncertain times and events that are happening right now. And so flexibility is really important, and to not be catastrophizing. I think we need to understand what the limits are in our business. And we can do a limit analysis based upon a worst case scenario or based upon an opportunistic scenario, and in the center, business as usual. But when we look at the limits of where things are at, it'll bring some subtleness into our hearts and minds and spirits. And when we openly address, hey, where are we at? What's the worst case scenario? What's the best case scenario? Then we have something to work with. It's easy to catastrophize things right now, and I think if we're going to catastrophize things, if we could do that based upon facts, that would be the best way to do it. But not to catastrophize based upon the most recent news article about whatever it is going on. I guess a few topics that come to my mind are all the soft sides of business. And like Melanie has mentioned, and you, Pam, have mentioned that you both had gone to your team or your network or your friends or your family. There are people around you that helped you through a tough time to make decisions. And even when I was laid off, I was relying upon my close friends to say, hey, help me in this situation. I'm really freaked out. Maybe you could speak some objective advice for me. So I think that's really important. So having said that, as employers or even as self-employed people, we have a team, however loose or tight that is. It could be our employees, it could be our coworkers, it could be our friends, or people who have given us subjective advice. So there is a team that we have that it'd be really great to pull in that team and say, okay, help me out here, what can I do? Help me look at my business and look at my options ahead of me. There's, two types of businesses right now. One is the business that can still stay in operation. The other are the businesses that have been forced to shut down through legal mandates, bars, restaurants, gyms, so on and so forth. And in other states, it's more serious. Arizona, not so much here. The governor has said that he's opposed, so far at least, to shutting down or requiring businesses to shut down. But that could change. So the biggest thing right now is everything is moving around a lot. And the stress that we're feeling, I think it's not okay, but it's, I think, to recognize that it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to be stressed. It's okay to feel how we're feeling right now. But to just be flexible in staying up to date on what's happening, how that might affect your business. So when it comes to business, the first thing that I think of is your liquidity. How much cash do you have on hand in your checking accounts and your savings accounts and your investment accounts? What is your liquidity? Because when business starts to drop off because all your customers are freaking out too, your fixed costs don't go away. Loan payments, credit card payments, your subscriptions that are basically your fixed costs of operating your business. Fixed costs are costs in your business that are not subject to sales. So whether, in an extreme situation, if you have no sales, fixed costs are the costs that you're going to continue to be paying. So that's what is really happening right now. It's good to look at what our fixed costs are. Variable costs, you probably heard that term too, are costs that are generally associated with your sales volume. So the higher your sales volume, the more your variable costs go up. But your variable costs usually are a percentage of your sales. So you might have a sale to a customer, and the variable cost of producing that sale might be 20% of the sale. But if you have 1,000 sales, it's still 20% of each sale. Fixed costs are going to be there regardless. And taking a close look at your fixed costs is really important. So back to the Thrive list, I think the business really needs to do a Thrive list to come back to the core values of why we're here, what are we doing, what are we trying to accomplish, what are our values, and to look at our costs and to ask yourself if do our costs reflect our values. Very important exercise to go through, I think. Several of us went through the Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University when the biggest thing there was, what is your emergency cash fund? And having emergency cash on hand is great. It's liquid. You can use it to pay for your expenses. But as an observation from what I'm hearing around town, a lot of businesses don't want to touch your cash anymore, so they're not taking cash. They're taking your credit card. And so, for instance, I was at Costco the other day. They're not touching your Costco ID. They're asking you to take your own receipt off the cash register. When you walk out the door, the person will not touch your receipt. So, and they don't.
Yeah, it's interesting. I did that too.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of things are changing right now. With the IRS filing and payment deadlines have been extended to April 15th. This is for individuals, including self-employed people. So we don't have to file an extension by April 15th. If you did file a business extension as of March 15th for your corporation or your partnership, my understanding is that is included in that push out to July 15th now. Does that mean that you should push it off and procrastinate? No, by all means don't procrastinate, because you could have a tax refund sitting there waiting for you. So by all means, get that return filed, at least prepared so you know where you're standing. If you do have a refund, get it filed so that you can get your money quickly. As Pam mentioned too, and Melanie mentioned, when you're looking at your fixed costs, you might have loan payments or credit card payments or rent due on a monthly basis. Contacting those creditors is really important right now to see if there are any opportunities for you to take advantage of.
Yeah, you know what? Can I interject on that? Because if you haven't already done so and called different service providers and your landlord, if you have a physical space, give them a call and at least start the conversation with your landlord if you need to. But I have contacted several service providers, and they have definitely been willing to defer payments. And it's been wonderful. I haven't had much, and so if you don't be afraid to pick up the phone. That's all I want to say.
Cool. Yeah. So I wholeheartedly concur. We don't know what our creditors are doing until we call, and there's a lot of things that are happening right now, and things are changing at a very fast pace. So call, find out if you can defer a credit card payment. Can I defer a loan payment? Can I defer my rent? Can I defer my utilities for a month without penalty? Can you help me? And what kind of programs are happening right now? Let's see, it's a great time to look at your accounts receivable. Do keep in mind that, uncollected accounts receivable, your customers might be sitting in the same position as you are too. So it might be a great time to say, hey, let's work out a deal. Maybe there's a beneficial arrangement you can make to get the cash flowing in. What if you could say, hey, I'm going to write your invoice off by a certain percentage if you paid in full now. It would give you operating cash now, and or maybe there is a benefit or a service that your company needs that your customer could provide you. The accounts payable, who do you owe, is really important because your vendors are also going to be on the other side of that equation looking for payment from you. However, if we're small business people and we owe money to a larger company, that larger company might have some contingency plans in place that could benefit you or benefit us. Looking back to the Thrive statement, look at your profit and loss and see how your money has been spent, see where your revenue is coming from, and compare it to your Thrive statement. Again, back to the values of being in business. One of the biggest issues rolling out right now is employment related issues. What if you have employees? And there's a lot of good guidance out there right now on protecting your workforce from COVID, or if somebody becomes infected with the virus, what should you do? But a lot of businesses aren't shut down right now, and they're continuing to operate. I think back to that Thrive statement, right now is a great time. If I could back up a second, approach this from a very high level viewpoint and a very high level perspective. We, as employers, have an opportunity now to really be an asset for our workforce. And if we don't look at people as employees, but look at them as a workforce, they really are an asset to us. We've got people who are trained into our systems, trained into our company. They know our work processes and workflows. They know how to get our job done. And to just jettison those people, I think, is the wrong way to look at it. But to be able to take that workforce in and say, okay, people, we're the team here. We make this company. As a business owner, if I can't run my business without my employees. So they're an asset to my business. I want to keep those people. And they have, perspectives and fears and hopes and dreams just like me too. So let's bring them all together, and perhaps out of that community, we can derive some ideas that will benefit us, all of us going forward. There's a lot of stuff happening with at the state and federal level now, as far as if a person is infected with COVID and has to resign temporarily from the workforce, there are unemployment benefits. So it's really good to stay in contact with the Arizona Department of Economic Security or your state Department of Unemployment to see what options are available for your employees. If we can become a resource for employees, that will greatly help their own stress levels, because we're all kind of afraid about what's going to happen. So there's federal and state initiatives, city and county initiatives. The NACOG has some programs available that they're really stepping into the game too. With the I've got a link here somewhere, but ArizonaAtWork.com is a huge initiative by NACOG, which is the Northern Arizona Council of Governments, and their workforce initiative. So they've got some great employer resources as well as employee resources out there.
What was that? What was it again?
ArizonaAtWork.com.
ArizonaAtWork.com. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I have to interrupt because I have to let everybody know I messed up. Yeah, I came to WingSpace. I'm actually here, and Pam is here at WingSpace in another room, and I left my power cord at home, and my computer is down to 20%. So we probably have, because video, eats up a lot. So I'm guessing we probably have about another 10 to 15 minutes.
All right. Okay. So this is Pam, and you all asked me to facilitate. So here's what I think we should do next. And Jay, thank you. That was practical next steps, things people could do. We also want to talk about resources, give you the latest on loans from the SBA. Remember, they are loans. And also there's some grant money available via Facebook. So Melanie, do you want to kind of give us the latest and greatest on what's going on with the SBA, and then Jay can jump in with a little bit.
Well, all I know is I went on to the SBA website to look into applying for an SBA loan. And from what I can see, if you haven't been on there yet, from what I could see, it's not limited to any specific types of businesses. So that it didn't say that, micro businesses or freelancers couldn't apply. So either there may be different information. Right now, I know the SBA is swamped, but the website seems to be pretty easy, and the application form seems to be pretty easy. So then my question was, who should apply? Jay, who should apply? Should anybody apply? And if you apply and get approved for the loan, can you still say no? I don't. In a couple of weeks or whatever, however long the process is, can I say, oh, never mind, things are turning around, or do I have to take that loan?
Okay, do you have to take the loan? I'm not really sure about how to answer that question. We know that the SBA loans, the SBA provides a guarantee. The funding is provided through local or regional banks or financing institutions. I would say look at how your business is going, and if your customer base is dropping off for whatever reason, like I said, back to fixed costs, we still have the fixed costs, we still have employment costs. It wouldn't hurt to get an application going, but you can go to the SBA.gov's website and look at the resources available and see if something seems like it fits your business. You could also call the SBA and explain the situation, call your local SCORE.
Well, it's interesting. When I was on there, you go on there and they actually have COVID-19 and Arizona, including all the counties, so Yavapai County is listed on there as a disaster area for COVID-19. So if it is impacting your business, that one of the questions or some of the questions are, how is this impacting your business? So you have to be prepared to describe that. And you also need to have your books in order. So you're going to need to have your profit and loss statement, and you're going to need to have your recent tax return, your most recent tax return ready. So if you don't have that stuff ready, start working on that.
Yeah, so that seems
It's
like
really critical. I'm sorry, Pam. Really critical to have your books done. Get your taxes at least done so you know where you're standing. You don't have to file them until July 15th, but at least you know where you're standing. And then you're able to take advantage of resources that require that information of your business.
Yeah.
And also something that Melanie was talking about is that Facebook has something called Boost. I don't like the fact that they used our, but it's Boost with Facebook, and it is a small business grant. I don't know, Melanie or Jay, if you want to say something about that.
I haven't looked into it. They still, because there's really nothing to look into yet, they said that they'll be sending out more information. You can sign up for more information. As it rolls out, they'll send it to you. That's as far as that is so far.
I don't know anything else about that. And I just wanted to share a little image here from Arizona Workforce Solutions. This is the ArizonaAtWork.com website. You can download this PDF. I'm going to show it here, but this is page one of 3 or 4 pages of employers who are offering immediate hiring. Most of them are grocery stores. There's some healthcare in here too, but even for self-employed people, there's options out there. There's huge demand created in the food sector right now, and they are screaming for employees. So there's opportunities in all this, and I think it's really important to keep our eyes on the potential opportunities.
So Melanie, I have a couple more thoughts. What's your battery at?
My battery is currently at 18%, so we're still good. We're still good. You know what? I watched Kate Ames, who's on here. Kate, I'm going to unmute you. Is that okay? Because you shared something. Yeah, you shared something last night on Facebook, and would love for you to share that again here if others missed it.
Remember what it was?
You talked about ways that you could help, that we could help other.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So, and I've been doing this. I've been trying to do it. Okay. Sorry if you hear crazy noises in the background. My kids are like, I don't know what they're doing. My idea was just that, in our downtime, if we could just be aware of helping small businesses out by writing reviews for them. So Yelp, Google, Facebook reviews. There's like industry specific websites as well. I'm not even sure what they are, but there's a lot of different places out there that you can leave reviews. And I know that for both my business and my husband's business, reviews have been really, really important for us. And not only do they help with the social proof for our customers when they do come back to buy, because right now both of our businesses are at a complete dead zone, but it helps in the future. But it also just, I think, is a really nice thing you can do. It boosts morale for people. So, when I see a good review, it makes my day usually. So
I thought that was great.
And if I can comment on that, 2 things. One is something I've been delaying doing is asking for testimonials on Google or on my website. And so now I'm excited. I have time to do it. People have time to do it. People are feeling compassionate and wanting to help. So some of those things that you've been procrastinating on doing, now is a time when you can say, okay, when my business isn't dead, when my business starts back up, these are some of the things I need to have been doing and haven't. And I need to improve these processes or these systems. And if you have employees, get them involved in that. As Jay said, bring them together on this. A second thing on that, almost always in downtimes, it has been small business owners that have really helped the economy, be a stimulus to our economy. So if you're in a good place, order out pizza, go buy some gift cards, do whatever you can to help small businesses. I'll give you an example, back to my nails that I seem to be talking about all the time. I'm concerned about going there to get my nails done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have her take them off, and then I'm going to send her a check for $35 every single month. Because I can do that right now. I have the ability to do that. So really, I think there's a way that we can really be a stimulus to others. So think on that. Also, I want you to know that there's some other webinars we're thinking about doing. One is, we'll try and do these quickly, is looking at your marketing and your strategies and services and how to look at doing that differently and having a different strategy. And we'll have another expert or two with us. Also, it may seem silly, but if some of you have been working at home and you have dogs and children and partners, it's not as easy as it sounds, and we have some excellent experts to help you with that on working at home. And please let us know what else you might be interested in. So I think I'd like to end with this, and then we'll open it up to questions. Other is that I really like what Ellen DeGeneres says, be kind to others. Really look for ways that, when my neighbor, we were out of toilet paper and she brought us 3 rolls. She left them in the driveway, but she left us 3 rolls, and it just made my day. And there's somebody in the Quad City area, and they put out there, I'm guessing they're a zillionaire, that they don't want anyone to go hungry. And if their family is going hungry, to contact them. So focus on the kindness that you see and be the kindness, but also be kind to yourself. Be very, very compassionate with yourself. Nobody saw this coming. We do have experiences in our past to help us get through this, but there isn't exactly a playbook. So please find ways to be compassionate to yourselves so that you can thrive during this time. So I think we'll open it up to questions. You can put it on chat. We can unmute you, and then we'll end it up.
Yeah, let's go ahead, and if you have a question, go ahead and unmute yourself, and we're here to just open up a discussion. And my computer is at 15%, so we still got time.
And Melanie, they can unmute themselves, right?
Yes, I believe you can. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
Or comments or inspirations?
Yes. Or things that resources that things that people are doing. I was really impressed how El Gato Azul has changed things up. They at first were trying to make a change by clearing out half of their tables, spreading things out farther so people can still come and dine in, but people were just kind of not doing that. So then the very next day they changed things up again, and they're packaging up wonderful meals for people. And if people have lost their jobs, they're like giving it to you at no cost or at a donation price. So it's pretty amazing how quickly they just change things up. Does anybody else know anything that other businesses are doing or have changed? Because what is that saying about invention? Necessity is the mother of invention. Yes. So yeah, it's amazing what can happen in times like this.
I have something.
Yeah.
So we've had our eye on this for a while, actually, and we're actually, one of the things that we are doing that not really as a business, but we're collecting masks outside of my office off of Iron Springs Road. There's a nationwide, actually worldwide shortage of masks. And now not only is there a shortage of masks, but there is a shortage of the materials to make reusable masks. So elastic is at a shortage. I've looked at all of my vendors that I have access to and can't get it. So we've just kind of been calling on people. If you have a craft bin with some of I believe it's 1/4 inch elastic, outside my office, we have a donation bin. You can donate the finished masks, or you can donate the materials to make the masks. And we've got some different ladies that are already, I think we've made a couple hundred already with they're going to go to the Yavapai County Health Services. They're going to pick them up, I think, on Friday. So they're in such desperate need that while they are not N95 masks, they are trying to get by with what they can. So last we knew, most of the retail stores were also out of some of those supplies. So
some
hey,
good
Kate.
Go ahead.
Hi, it's Bree. How are you guys? Hey, Kate, would you be able to share that or send me that information so I can post all of that in the Prescott Women page and the new event group too?
Yeah, I will. And it's all kind of very like, we just have boxes set up so that nobody has to contact anyone. So it is kind of on the honor system a little bit. So far, we haven't had any issues.
Okay.
I'm a little bit weary to like say that I'll be honest, I'm a little bit weary to say that it's my business doing it because, we're not doctors, we're not medical professionals. We don't want to be advising anyone on how to use.
Right.
But from what we can tell, there is such a great need that they're willing to take what they can get at the community health services.
Yeah, so whatever you want to share or not share, just feel free to either email or message me on Facebook, and I can post whatever you think might be necessary.
Yeah, I'll share
to get that out. Awesome. And I want to give a shout out to you too, Kate, for giving me a review on Facebook for my business. So
hey, I'm trying to go through and do all that.
That's awesome.
I'm trying to do that instead of watch Netflix. So
I love it. Well, I appreciate it greatly. So
welcome.
And Kate, thank you for that. My daughter is on the front line. She's a PA in the emergency room down in Phoenix. And just some good news on the horizon. Hanes is starting to shift their manufacturing so that they can make these different types of masks. And Lowe's has put a great deal of money into getting respirators and masks from 3M. So I love that we're doing it on the local level to make it until the larger companies can get the supplies that they need to make this happen. So thank you very much. I worry about her.
Awesome.
Anybody else?
I still have 12% on my computer, so we're still good to go. We don't have to end early if there's anything else.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, Jay.
So, I really like what I'm hearing, and I like the fact that we're getting this information out. And I don't know if WingSpace has capability of putting a resource page out there to assist in this also, but that would be cool. What I'm doing is, what helps me is picking up garbage. I know that sounds kind of silly, but it makes our world prettier. And also contacting all of my just the elderly people that I know and telling them, hey, if you need me to pick up something, I'm happy to go do that. You don't need to go to the store and expose yourself, or if you have friends, just pass the word out and let me know that I'm available to help out, run errands, whatever. So
That's awesome.
Thanks, Jay. Hey, Melanie, would this be a good time for me to share the slow methodology, or should I save it for a future one?
I say you share it, because anything that is going to help people reduce their stress right now and keep and have something that they can refer to quickly, easily, I think that would be great.
Okay. So it's called the slow methodology, and I want to give credit to, I forget her name, but it's a gal from Bold Leadership, and she came up with a methodology. And so remember when I, had been laid off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, we're going to pay off the house, or are we going to take the kids to grandma? And, you all are probably thinking about, from what Jay said, oh gosh, I don't know my fixed or variable cost, or I did it, but I don't have my taxes done, or, should I do this or should I do that? And so the slow methodology, is we want to go so fast, and we do need to get information, but it's about pausing before you panic. It's about slowing down to speed up. And so the SLOW stands for something. So the S is for stop. Just stop. Breathe. Write some things down. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What's working? What's not working? Just stop and write some things down. The L is for lower your expectations. We all have such high expectations of ourselves that we'll be able to figure this out as leaders and employees and as parents. And it's like, lower the expectations, get some help, get a sounding board, back to getting the support around you like Melanie did at WingSpace. So hold compassion for yourself in this. The O is own the now. We tend to think so much in the future, and that's where fear and anxiety comes into us. What's in front of you right now? And so when I had been laid off and going home, what was in front of me right now wasn't really that huge. And so when I could stay in the present, just own the now, then I could figure out the N, the W, which is what's next. So the S is step back and reflect, stop, step back and reflect. The L is lower pressure and expectations. The O is own the now. I think that's really the hardest thing to do and the most important thing to do, to ground yourself into the present. And the W is for what's next. What are your next steps? So I hope for some of you that methodology from Bold Leadership will be helpful. Not only to you, but to your spouse, your employees, and your children.
This is awesome. Well, I do have a question that's come in. I have to hop on the school board meeting conference call. FYI, I am the executive director of the Prescott Unified School District Education Foundation and want to learn what small businesses are doing during this health crisis. Since I serve our educational community, I want to know what is going on with our business partners. Thank you. So that was Tammy Phillips. I'm not sure if she's taken off yet or not, but so I'm glad. Hopefully you're getting some ideas from this call of what we're doing. But certainly that would be great to find out and do another call to just call in people and find out exactly what they're doing. That would be great. It's more of a statement. Okay.
And if I could add too, things are changing so fast. If you know who your partners are, I think just going out to their websites and just staying up to date on what initiatives they're offering and how they're being connected is really important.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, as Ellen DeGeneres would say, be kind to one another. I always wanted to do that.
All right, everyone. Well, we're pretty much at the end of this call, and stay tuned. We're going to be doing more of these in the next several days, next week. I'm putting together other panelists and experts on different topics. So stay tuned, and hopefully we can see you online again later. All right, everyone?
And spread the news.
Yes, please spread the news. Thanks, everyone.